What the Secret Service doesn't know, or they may not know, is that up to 125 different countries can also do this. So up to 125 different people in different countries can also monitor all of the calls in Denmark. And that includes all of the people in the Secret Service. Even if it's coded, they still, other countries can still monitor your Secret Service. They can monitor your royal family. They can monitor everybody in the government. And the idea behind this, or one of the ideas behind this, is the oldest spy trick in the book, and I know a lot about spies because I was involved with spies. The secret weapon of any spy is blackmail. Now, if you have, as we have, certainly in this country, if you have ministers or MPs or senior civil servants who are going, they turn their phones off and they think nobody can see me, and they have a mistress, or they like little boys, young boys or young girls, or paedophiles, whatever, or films, and they belong to a club or something like this, they can be blackmailed. They can be seen going in, everything can be heard, they can be seen coming out, and it makes them that the oldest trick in the book for spies is blackmail. And once you have somebody in that position who can be blackmailed, you know, you have them. You have them.
Yeah.
And you know, if we have a minister, and I go to the minister if I'm blackmailing and say, now look, you have a family, 3 children, you know you sleep with boys who are 12 years old, now I can expose you, or you can do this for me. And what your people don't know is that up to 150 different countries can be monitoring that. And your royal family. And it gets even worse, because I was involved in one spy case where, you see, it gets very complicated, this, but you can also send pulses into people's brains. And this is, not many people know this, if you send microwave pulses into people's brains, and it can be done from any tower, or any mobile van, or, you know, you can park a car outside somebody's house when they're sleeping and do it. It's very easy. And this has been known, it's been known a very, very long time actually. You can put pulses in people's brains and there are around, I can give you a list of them, there are around 35 different pulses that I know of that can cause maybe 50 different neurological and physiological symptoms. Now, for instance, you can cause sexual aggression in men, suicidal tendencies, depression. You can interfere with the circadian rhythm of the eye and affect vision. You can affect with the natural rhythm of the heart, either the cyclotronic resonant frequency or the circadian rhythm of the heart. You can make any part of the body virtually become ill, and all of the mental processes. In fact, a paper was even published during the Cold War and now released under the Freedom of Information, where you could even fool psychiatrists with just by inducing paranoia and schizophrenia and other behaviour patterns that would fool psychiatrists just by microwave irradiation. And I can give you a list if you want one of all of the symptoms. So you have this, and it is not beyond the scope of any country to go to Denmark, and if you are a royal person or a minister or somebody, they can follow you with this, or even if you're an Olympic athlete and they want you to lose, to make you lethargic and lose interest. And I have known a case where Olympic people have been targeted by microwaves, and I have known a case where government ministers have been targeted, and I was involved in giving evidence. And I have also been involved in giving evidence where the military were targeted, and they acted totally out of character. So you can actually target people, and you can cause a country great embarrassment, or you can almost induce somebody not to think properly. So, you know, this is quite a successful weapon. Yeah.
Just to come back to some of the things you said, in '96, there came a document called the Terra Papers, and it talks about a genetic experiment, that we are part of a genetic experiment and so on. And then it says in the end of the document, it would be very good if we could implant people with a microchip, but it would not be very practical. And then they said, how can we make people carry a device voluntarily? And it says they must be betrayed. And on the next page, in the top of the page, it just says there's only one device available on the market today that matches the frequency of the brain, and that is called a cellular phone. And no matter if this document is false or whatever, I always read something, and if it fits in reality, it's good enough for me, because it shows a lot. When you mentioned the induction of psychiatric illnesses or mental states and so on, I have this old friend. She lives in a place in Denmark where one of the big producers of medication, these happy pills, so-called happy pills, they are placed. And once I walked by, I wondered how come they have this antenna inside their factory? I could see, and then I saw it was pointing somewhere. It was pointing to a hidden radar station, which I know where it is. And I just said, well, could it be that the big pharma inventing these medications know exactly what to induce in people to cause these illnesses, to create big money? And when we look at this report about the burden of the illnesses, like you said, take over a country, when I look at Denmark and see how people, I speak from the Danish perspective, when I see how people are on medication and 25% are depressive, and people are apathetic and not very workable, and they all just entertain themselves with the phones, the smartphones, so to speak, and the Facebook and the internet and so on. But they don't have the power anymore. They don't have the power to take action, to do something. It just confirms. It's actually very scary when we put it together.
Have you seen my list of all of the frequencies and what they can cause?
Not yet.
I'll get it for you. You're right. I think, I mean, implants we know. There is lots of documentation on implants which will transmit into the brain. And before, once implants were the earlier, they would transmit into the brain. Now you don't need implants because there are so many towers and hidden transmitters. Even street lights can have transmitters in them, road signs, and there is a system, and it's been out about 10-12 years now, called CELDAR. There are different types of CELDAR, but basically a computer, if they wanted to watch you, it's like radar, only with microwaves. Once the system has locked onto you, let's say from this lamppost, if there's a transmitter there, once it's locked onto you, the computer will take away anything that isn't moving, like buildings, and it will have your size, and then as you walk up the road and you get lost from this transmitter, the next one will pick you up, and then the next one, and they can follow you everywhere. And if they want to, they can also send a beam into you, a microwave beam. And you may think that is a bit far-fetched, but there is documentary evidence, lots of it, to show that the women at Greenham Common in here during the Cold War, they were microwaved by the American base and made to feel depressed and suicidal and have cancer. We used them on the Catholics in Northern Ireland. We would do whole streets, and that has been documented and was brought up, and the MPs complained about it. So we used them in Northern Ireland, the Americans used them on the Catholics, the Russians used them on the Americans. They have been developed over 60 years now to perfection. I think I probably have the most comprehensive list in the world of pulse frequencies and what they can cause, because I looked into this. But you're right, it's where this started out, maybe as we can keep an ear on our people and see what they're up to. Different organisations are now getting new ideas and making new devices, and they're not coordinating with each other. And it's, you know, one department is developing germ warfare, microwave germ warfare. Another one is developing how to eliminate MPs and royal families. You know, if you don't want a royal family, it's very simple to get rid of them. And what they don't know, even in this country, our royal family are given little devices to carry, which they're told, in case they're kidnapped. So we will know exactly where they are. But they could also be transmitters going into the royal family. They may not be, but they could be. So if you have a country where the government or the people who run the country do not want the royal family anymore, they're very easy to get rid of, and very easy to find out what they're doing, what they're saying, any royal secrets. It's all being stored and logged, and the royal family have no idea usually what is being kept about them, on them, and maybe they have secrets, and all of these are being recorded, everything.